What if I told you that in ancient Rome, women used to rub gladiator sweat on their faces as a beauty product? Or that the Egyptians thought crocodile dung was the ultimate birth control? Or that Vikings had a funeral ritual so wild it involved group sex and human sacrifice, all in one night? And wait until you hear about the Persians who thought the best way to confirm a decision was to get drunk and check again in the morning. And the Ottomans? Oh, they took sibling rivalry to a whole new level. When a new sultan came to power, his brothers were lined up in cradles and executed to prevent civil war. Today, we're going on a wild tour of the strangest, darkest, and most unbelievable customs of history's greatest empires. This is going to get weird, hilarious, and a little disturbing. So buckle up, because by the end of this video, you might just be grateful you were born in the 21st century. They had war, superstition, gods to appease, and a lot of time to come up with bizarre ways of living. Every empire had its own logic for why their customs made sense. Whether it was religion, politics, or just sheer survival, these traditions were designed to maintain order, even if they sound crazy to us today. So, let's start with one of the most famously strange, and strangely glamorous empires of all time: ancient Rome. Rome was the land of luxury, but also, let's be honest, some very questionable beauty hacks. Women in Rome could actually buy small clay pots filled with gladiator sweat. Yes, the sweat of men who had just fought for their lives in the Colosseum was considered a premium skincare product. They believed it improved complexion, added a healthy glow, and maybe even had aphrodisiac powers. Can you imagine walking into Sephora today and asking, "Hi, where's your warrior sweat section?" The weirdest part, people actually paid good money for this. Roman physicians even claimed it could help with fertility. I guess if you wanted to feel close to your favorite gladiator, this was the ancient version of buying a celebrity's perfume. Now let's travel south to ancient Egypt, home of pyramids, mummies, and some very questionable contraceptive methods. Egyptian women used crocodile dung as a spermicide. Yes, they literally inserted crocodile poop as a way to stop pregnancy, and weirdly enough, it had some effect. The dung was highly alkaline, which could make it harder for sperm to survive. But let's be honest, the biggest reason it worked might have been that it was an instant romance killer. Can you imagine the conversation? "Sorry, honey, not tonight. I'm, busy with my crocodile." Okay, now it's time to get a little dark. The Vikings are famous for their brutal raids and fearless warriors, but their funeral customs might be their most intense tradition of all. When a Viking chieftain died, one of his slave girls was chosen to accompany him into the afterlife. Sounds honorable, right? Well, not exactly. The girl was given alcohol, and then she had to perform sexual rites with a man from every household. Yes, you heard that right, every single house, as a farewell ceremony. Then, after this ritual, she was strangled by the village matriarch, laid next to her master, and burned with him on a funeral pyre or buried on his ship. Imagine being the person who got chosen for that job. This wasn't just a funeral. It was a full-on, terrifying community event. It was all about sending the master into the next life with company, whether she wanted to go or not. After that heavy story, let's lighten the mood with one of the most surprisingly relatable customs: Persian decision-making. Here's how it worked. The Persians would make important decisions sober, but before finalizing them, they'd get drunk. If, after drinking, they still thought it was a good idea, then it was considered a wise decision. And sometimes they flipped it. They'd decide something while drunk and then check it again sober. Basically, they invented the ancient version of sleep on it, except with more wine involved. Part of me thinks we should bring this one back, though maybe not for, nuclear policy decisions. Finally, let's end with one of the darkest customs of them all: the Ottoman practice of fratricide. When a new sultan took the throne, he was legally allowed, actually encouraged, to execute all his brothers. Why? Because sibling rivalry in the royal family could lead to civil war. So instead of fighting later, the new sultan would have his brothers strangled right away, often with silk cords so that no royal blood was technically spilled. It was so common that when a new reign began, a long line of tiny coffins, many of them holding infants, would be carried out of the palace in a grim procession. Imagine being crowned king and then immediately ordering a family massacre. It's horrifying, but in a twisted way, it probably did save the empire from decades of chaos. So what does this tell us about ancient empires? That human beings have always been a little weird. Whether it was for beauty, religion, politics, or just plain survival, every society has done things that make us go, wait, they did what? Some of these customs are funny, some are disturbing, and some are straight up terrifying. But they all show us how different life was thousands of years ago. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these customs shocked you the most? Would you rather try Roman gladiator sweat as a skincare routine, or Persian drunk decision-making as a life hack? Drop your answer in the comments. I'll pin the funniest one. And if you love history that's bizarre, dark, and unforgettable, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the weirdest corners of history. Because trust me, we're just getting started.